All right, here we are live. The audio looks good. I apologize if the very first thing I do with every episode is check the audio levels. I've been burned so many times with poor audio. I don't want you folks to have to put up with it. But here we are. Here we are. And I've got my tabletop simulator on, and welcome to another edition of Coffee, Kegs, and Kriegsspiel. And I am your host, Marshall, and I am home, or not home, but here to answer one of your burning Kriegsspiel questions, which is, why don't you use historic orders of battle? Can I use a historic OOB? So we're going to talk about that right away here. Real quick, I'm going to pull up our Patreon. Let's see here. Should have had this done before, but I'm not used to doing it yet. But here we go. We have this. I'm going to put that into our YouTube for the very first comment. I would encourage everyone to support the International Kriegsspiel Society by using that link. And I also want to share with everybody our website, Kriegsspiel.org, which is just this beautiful website that we just had redone. And I want you to know that everything is here. We have our Discord. This is where you're going to get into all these really cool games that we have coming up. We always have games on Saturdays. We're going to have a lot more games coming up soon. We have a campaign running. We have another campaign to follow on with that. And you'll be able to get into that campaign, and you'll have your own units, and you'll push them across the map and do things. And it's just a heck of a lot of fun. Your losses and everyone's losses carry over, and so on. So there's consequences to how you play. The campaigns are fantastic. So there's a lot that you can do here on our website. So come have a look, check it out. We also have resources, and I'll click on that resources tab and just show you that real quick. And please always feel free to come use our resources. All of our resources are free if they are provided by us. There are some resources, for example, the Kriegsspiel 1824 and 1862 rules. Those are available from Two Fat Lardies. I'll click here and go to their website. You can buy them here from them. We cannot sell them. They have the license for these, but here you are. You can buy them here if you want the original 24 or 62 rules. I would say, however, that we don't play either of those rule sets. We use our own modified rule sets, because the original rule sets can be a little unwieldy. But that's a conversation for another time. Today, I want to talk about what I pledged to talk about, which is to answer the question, can I use a historic order of battle? And the answer to that is, well, yes, you can, right? Nobody is stopping you from using a historic order of battle in your games. At least nobody in the Kriegsspiel world or the history world is necessarily going to do that. The people who will discourage you and stop you from using a historic order of battle are going to be your own players. Because what's going to happen is you're going to say, okay, I'm going to use this historic order of battle, and I'm going to have these units that were actually there at the time. Okay, and so here we are. We've got units here. These were generically named, these particular ones, these Union units, although we had some that were custom named for the players. They got to choose, hey, we can name one of our brigades Irish or whatever. And we incorporated a little bit of customization in our Grand Gettysburg module for the Union players. For the Confederate players, we customized everything. We customized even the units' names. So here we have Robin's Division, Barksdale's Brigade, Hooger's Division, Armistead's Brigade, and so on. So we went really ahistoric, really fictional on all of this when we set up this particular big game. And this is a big game with 48 people involved, almost 50 people involved in the game. It was a pretty cool experience. But why not use the original historic Gettysburg Order of Battle? And the reason why we get away from doing that is because you're going to have those players who are subject matter experts on whatever the battle was in question. And they're going to tell you, they're going to say, well, I have the Stonewall Brigade, or I have the 20th Maine, let's say. I have the 20th Maine under my command, and I want the 20th Maine to fight like they did historically at Little Round Top. Let's just take a generic block and drop it here on Little Round Top, okay? And man, they are going to resist those Confederates when those Confederates come up the hill. I expect that when we charge down the hill, just like they did in the movie and just like they did historically, I expect that we're just going to sweep them right off the field, okay? And they're going to want special considerations for that. And if you say no, I'm sorry, it's just going to be the standard straight up die roll that we will give you with whatever advantages we have for troop quality or terrain or whatever that may be. But you're going to get the standard roll. You're going to get a fair shake. They could get rather, testy about it, because they're going to say, but, Colonel Chamberlain was commanding them. You have to do it, and so on and whatever. Okay. I don't want to get into that. And I don't want to get into this unit was armed with a repeating rifle, or this unit, they really stood their ground at the railroad cut, and even though they took a lot of casualties, they really held out, here at the railroad cut, or whatever that may be. Okay? So we don't want to deal with that. So the way that we get away from that is we get away from the historic order of battle. We may use a historic order of battle to inform the order of battle that we put together. In other words, we might have the same number of corps and divisions, and we might even do what we did here with the Confederates, where we give them named brigades named after the actual brigades that were actually present, as well as the batteries and so on, Washington Artillery and Richmond Howitzers and whatever that may be. We might do that sort of thing, okay? But we don't want to get more granular than that, because you don't want to be in a situation where you're arguing with the players over units having special considerations, because that's not what Kriegsspiel is about. Kriegsspiel is not about special considerations. If you want to play a game that has special considerations for like elite units or whatever that may be, and you have your Iron Brigade in that game, and the Iron Brigade is going to be really, really tough to dislodge, go play that war game, because Kriegsspiel does not feature that. That's not what Kriegsspiel is about. Kriegsspiel is not about minutia. It's not about tracking weapon type or marksmanship ability or even unit quality, even though we do incorporate that into some of our systems. And we do have fun with that, but that's not what Kriegsspiel is about. Kriegsspiel is about making some of the bigger decisions that you make as a commander. When it's played at the corps and particularly the divisional level, when you play Kriegsspiel, you are only making 4 or 5 really big decisions in a game. For example, you're going to decide, how am I going to get into the battle, right? So let's just bring up my pin and I'll just draw for the heck of it. Let's say the battle is here, okay, and I am here. My first big decision is, how am I going to get there? Am I going to get there this way? Am I going to get there this way? Am I going to get there this way? How the heck am I getting to battle? That's the first big decision that I have to make as a commander, okay? There are other big decisions that I have to make as a commander. The next decision might be, now that I'm here and the bad guys are here, where am I going to commit my troops? Where am I going in? Am I going in here? Am I going in here? Here? That's a big decision, and as the commander, I get to make that decision. That's part of the fun of Kriegsspiel. Once I'm in there, maybe I'm in the middle of this battle and these guys are fighting, they're duking it out and stuff is going on, okay? And let's just take and put some units out just to, create a fight, because, hey, why not? Let's just have some fun, right? Okay, and we'll just, there we go. So we'll just throw some units down here, whatever. And these guys are fighting and so on. Okay, well, now I have to make another decision. Where am I going to put my reserve? Where's my reserve going to go? Am I going to send in the reserve? Where am I going to put them in at? And so on, right? So I've got these guys fighting here, and actually they'd probably be more like this in a line. And let's see, let's put them in a line. And they are chucking dice at each other, and it's getting real testy. And I have these guys here in reserve, in column right here. Where do I put the reserve? Do I send the reserve in on the flank? Do I commit them to the attack? Maybe I don't. Maybe I hold them here and I deploy them here. And, maybe I think I'm going to have to fall back and I need a position to rally on or whatever it may be. Where do you put your reserve? Then you have another big decision, which is what the heck do I do once all this is over? How am I getting out of here? Win, lose, or draw, what am I doing next? And these are the big decisions that you make in Kriegsspiel. The one thing you don't want to be stuck on, though, is the minutia, tracking casualties, and saying, well, this unit was armed with Springfield rifles instead of infield rifles, therefore we're going to give them a +1 on the die roll under these particular circumstances, or this unit was commanded by this particular officer, so we're going to give them a +1 every time they roll a die, or we're going to take away a -1, or this unit's movement rating is going to be reduced by 15% because they weren't commanded by Jackson, they were commanded by Ewell, or whatever it may be, and so on. You got to avoid all of that because all that kind of stuff does, again, it's stuff I call minutia. All it does is it slows down the game and it does not give you a payoff. It's sort of diminishing marginal utility in economics, right? You're going to add in inputs of complexity, inputs of detail, and you're not going to get back a corresponding return on that investment that's worth it. It just doesn't pay. So you want to stay away from that. And that's why we avoid historic orders of battle. Likewise, you will find that we also avoid historic battles. Now, I just heard the record scratch in your head, right? You're like, bro, you are looking at a map of Gettysburg. And you're 100% correct. But if you look carefully at the way that we set up our Grand Gettysburg scenario, and I've already messed with the pieces and moved things around a bit, but you'll notice we don't have a historic setup, right? Historically, it was the Confederates who came in through here and the Union who had to defend with a little bit of cavalry, and we've switched it up here. We actually have Confederates defending, and we have the Union coming in great force. Here's one Union Corps, here's another Union Corps coming in. So we have a pair of Union Corps. We've got the 1st Corps and the 3rd Corps attacking Confederate cavalry right here under General Robbins. Okay? So that's absolutely not historic. So we are using the historic battlefield because, hey, that's flavor, right? We want to play on the historic battlefield. It's super, super cool. It's a lot of fun. We have this really cool 3D map we even made. So it's way super cool to fight here and play on this battlefield. But we're not playing the actual Battle of Gettysburg. And the reason for that is, again, we don't want somebody to say, well, actually, the action started here and then over here at this particular time, and 2 hours later, General Reynolds came up down the Emmitsburg Road. And no, we don't want to deal with that, okay? And if you encounter players who are like that, let them have their say, smile and nod, and then go back to what you're doing. That's the polite and kind way of handling it, because the fact of the matter is, you're not going to win. You're not going to win. I guarantee you that dude knows the history of the Battle of Gettysburg way better than you do. You may have read all the books, but I guarantee you that dude knows the history better than you. I guarantee you that guy knows down to the foot the maximum range of the infield rifle, and its accuracy at, 600 yards. Like, he totally knows. He could probably load, fire, and clean the weapon all on their own. They probably own a copy of that musket, an actual one. Big deal, okay? It's irrelevant to Kriegsspiel, where you're basically focused on those big decisions that I talked to you about. How do I get to the battle? Where do I commit my troops? Where do I put my reserve? What's my plan for when I want to get out? Things like that. That's what's important in Kriegsspiel, not the minutia. So that's the reason why we don't do historic order of battle or historic battles. Now, what if you say, but I really want to? I really want to do this with my friends. Maybe you say, I really want to do this, Marshall, just to really get on your nerves, Marshall. I want to come over here and I want to pull out 1862 Kriegsspiel rules like this. And I want to run these rules, and I actually want to fight a historic battle. I want to do the Battle of Waterloo, let's say, using the 1824 rule set. Okay, okay, that's fine. I'm not going to stop you. You can do it. I just want you to know what you're going to get into. And what you're going to get into is a very long, very slow moving game that is going to take you not just hours but literally days to play. Now, if you and your homies have days to play, you know what? Tear it up. I tell you what, I can't wait until I'm in the retirement home and my kids have forgot about me and they quit bugging the heck out of me. And now I don't have to worry about feeding them anymore. And me and my homies in the retirement home can set up this big old table and we will play the actual Battle of Waterloo with everything historic. Why the heck not, right? I am looking forward to that day. Great, have at it. We will use the 1824 rules. We'll follow them religiously. Have fun. You can totally do it. Just understand it's going to be a very long, drawn-out, slow game. In fact, if you want to do that, my recommendation for how to do that would be to play it by email. Run the game by email. Have one person who's the trusted umpire who does everything. Take screenshots, send out the updates and the reports and so on. But again, do it all by email. Because when you're doing it by email, you have at least 24 hours or however long you want to make your turn to go back and do all the work, all of the labor of processing everything. And if you do that, if time's not a factor, you can add all the minutia that you want to add. But if time is a factor, if you're trying to get a quick Kriegsspiel game out in 4 to 6 hours, which 4 is a pretty fast Kriegsspiel, 6 is a good, quick, good paced one. 8 hours, you're really pushing it because people get tired. But if you're trying to get a game out in one sitting, you have to shed the minutia. The minutia is killer. You have to get rid of it, and you're going to have to use generic order of battle and probably fight a generic battle, even if you want to use a historic map. And you know what? The simplest way to do it, here's a great pro tip for you. You take red, okay, and you put red right here. Here's red. Here's where red starts. And then you take blue, okay, and here's where blue starts. And you tell them, capture the town, capture an objective, capture, whatever, the cemetery ridge, whatever it may be, right? And you have them just meet in the middle and go at it, and that's what they'll do. And the players will have a lot of fun doing that. So you don't have to worry that your scenario design doesn't feature some kind of complexity. We will talk about scenario design in future podcasts. I'll talk to you about how to actually design an interesting and intricate scenario that kind of gets everybody on the map and in action pretty quickly so that people aren't bored or sitting around. But look, if you're just looking to run a quick Saturday game or whatever it may be, there's nothing wrong with saying, here's your corner, now fight. And let them meet in the middle and smash. Absolutely, that's a huge part of the fun. In fact, I would warn against set piece battles. That is something we've talked about doing here in the Kriegsspiel community, but having blue here in a couple lines or whatever, and then having red over here, okay, and that of course gives rise to another question: why not have a set piece battle? And the reason why you don't want to have a set piece battle is all that's left to do is to meet in the middle and throw dice at each other. And that can get that's actually kind of boring to just do this. Players actually have a heck of a lot of fun doing the marching to battle, scouting ahead, wondering, hey, what is over that next ridge? Is the enemy over that ridge? Quick, send scouts over there to look over that ridge. What happens when they report back? What am I going to hear? What am I going to see? And it gets really cool when you have units that are passing just out of sight of each other. One makes it just around the corner 5 minutes before the scout pops up and doesn't see the enemy without realizing the enemy just passed through. Oh, all kinds of cool and exciting stuff for the umpires when that happens. So I do encourage you to allow the players to kind of march to battle and kind of create the battle organically using their own influences and activities and just kind of whatever happens kind of an approach. But you can absolutely do a set piece battle. You can sit down, you can straight up do Waterloo if you want to, no problem. You can totally do it. But again, the more you play true to history, the more you use a historic battle, the more you use a historic order of battle, the more minutia you're keeping track of, the weapon types, the artillery types, the casualty figures and stuff, the longer everything's going to take. So just keep that in mind as you decide how you want to run your games. All right? So that's the answer to the big question. How do you, or why can't I use a historic order of battle? Yes, you can use a historic order of battle, but it's going to cost you in other ways. All right, that's kind of all I have. I don't see any more questions. Actually, I don't see any. Nobody's posted questions. But hey, maybe I'm doing a great job explaining, or maybe I just don't have any any viewers. Either way, I'm sure people are going to come back and watch this in the future. And I want to encourage all of you. The comments should be on, so post your question in the comments on the YouTube, and I'm going to be thrilled to come back and hop on and answer. And if I can't get to it, some other member of the International Kriegsspiel Society will certainly get to it, and they will happily answer your questions. So there you have it. Don't forget to check out our Patreon. Don't forget to check out our website and hit up our Discord and join. There is a game tomorrow, so make sure that you are there. Tomorrow, Saturday at, I believe that is 8 a.m. Pacific time. That's 11 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. And I think that's like, what, 1 o'clock or something Greenwich Mean Time. Everybody's welcome. Pile into that Discord, get into a game, and have a great time. I have a thanks from Pete. You got it, Pete. I'm here for you. I enjoy doing these. I'm happy to answer all your questions. Please, I hope to see you in a game. Thank you for commenting. And let's see. Here's Halloween. Now, I've played with Halloween. We were on the same side a week ago in a Kriegsspiel. And Halloween asks, before I sign off, I'll answer this. So basically, only differences that actually matter for commanders actually get represented. Yeah, for the most part, yes, that's correct. Not everything needs to be represented because it's not important. Think of it like a computer game, right? And if you're playing a first person shooter and you're running around in this virtual world, your computer does not need to expend the energy and the resources to render all the buildings and all the players and all the trees and all the bad guys or the zombies or whatever that are outside your field of vision and that you could never possibly see. If it's an open world game, let's say, and your computer were to render absolutely everything at the same time, that would be tremendously stressful in terms of resources. So your computer quite logically and rightly only renders that which is immediately around you. And it's the same thing when running Kriegsspiel. The umpires act as the central processing unit, the CPU. And if the umpires are having to render all kinds of data and result and crunch numbers and throw dice for things that are completely irrelevant, all it does is slow your game down. It makes it more boring for you. You have more dead time. And that's probably not the funnest thing to do. And then, do I have an infantry brigade or cavalry or arty? Not what the exact caliber of gun my arty has. Precisely that. That's right. It doesn't matter so much the exact caliber of your gun, because again, as a division commander and especially as a corps commander, which are levels that we typically play at, you're not going to concern yourself with the caliber of the artillery. Yes, it makes a difference if you have smoothbore Napoleons versus 3-inch ordnance rifles. I get that. But still, that's something for your battery commander to worry about more so than you. You're just going to tell your brigades or your divisions, hey, go take that ridge, go take that hill. And the actual minutia of how that hill is captured will be worked out by the division commanders and the brigade commanders and the sub commanders underneath them. And they will automatically work in concert. And we as umpires, we simulate all of that for you so that you can focus on the big decisions, which are really the basis of your evaluation in Kriegsspiel. So there you have it. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. I want to thank you all for watching. Again, check out the Patreon, check out the website, check out the Discord, and I look forward to seeing you all on our next show. I'm going to try to be here Sunday morning, by the way, just so an update. I'm going to try to go live for our Patreon folks on Sunday morning with our regular episode. And I will probably also do one more regular episode, or special episode, I should say, before the end of the week and over the next 48 hours. If you have any questions or anything you'd like me to ask in those episodes, go ahead and post them here and just say, can you answer? And if you